Look, in the last decade, some of the biggest companies in gaming lit $2 billion on fire. Concord, Redfall, Suicide Squad, Fallout 76. Names that should have printed money, they printed apologies instead. These are the 10 biggest gaming flops of the decade, ranked by how hard they fell, and what the developers got so wrong that most of them don't exist anymore. Let me explain. Here's the thing. Every flop on this list started as a sure thing. A mega franchise, a beloved studio, $100 million budget, and every single one of them broke the same rule. They tried to chase a trend, live service, battle royale, looter shooter, instead of shipping what they were actually good at. The middle is where you get killed. These 10 prove it, going 10-1. Number 10, Fallout 76. Bethesda, November 2018. The first Fallout game online. What could go wrong? Everything. Duped items, invincible glitches, a 56 gigabyte day one patch, a Metacritic score of 55, the lowest any modern Fallout game had ever seen. Bethesda promised refunds, then they pulled the refunds. A law firm opened a class action investigation. Brutal truth, Fallout 76 didn't kill the franchise, but it's the reason Bethesda took another 5 years to even think about launching a new live product. Number 9, Anthem, BioWare, the studio that made Mass Effect, Dragon Age, Legends of the Industry. February 2019, they drop Anthem, a live service looter shooter, 5 million copies sold, 61 Metacritic, only 14% of critics recommended it. Here's what everyone missed. Anthem wasn't just a bad game, it was a studio-ending event. Kotaku's expose on the development chaos became a case study in why BioWare magic was dead. Every BioWare game since has been downstream of Anthem's failure. Proficiency over passion. They were passionate about making a live service game. They were not proficient at it. Number 8, Babylon's Fall, Platinum Games, Square Enix, March 2022. At its absolute peak, under 1,200 concurrent players on Steam. At its lowest, one person playing the game worldwide, shut down 11 months after launch, February 2023. Brutal truth. This is what happens when two legendary studios make a product for a market neither of them understood. Platinum does character action. Square does JRPGs. Live service looter? Nobody was asking for this. Number 7, Battlefield, 2042. DICE, EA, November 2021. Launched with a Steam peak of 107,000 concurrent players. 3 months later, 1,900. A 98% drop. 200,000 people signed a petition demanding refunds. The older Battlefield game, Battlefield V from 2018, had more players than the new one. Let me break this belief for you. You can't rebuild trust in a franchise with a patch. You rebuild it with the next game. And EA learned that the hard way. Number 6, Marvel's Avengers, Crystal Dynamics, Square Enix, September 2020. Square Enix reported a $62 million loss in the quarter this game launched. Sales hit 60% of target. The game was delisted from every storefront in September 2023, 3 years after launch. The kicker? Square Enix got so burned by this that they sold Crystal Dynamics, the studio that made Tomb Raider, for pennies to Embracer in 2022. That's not a flop, that's a franchise extinction event. Number 5, Skull and Bones, Ubisoft, February 2024. 10 years of development, Singapore government subsidies, official cost, $200 million, leaked reports, as much as $850 million. Ubisoft's CEO called it their first quadruple A game. Triple A wasn't enough, they needed 4 A's, under 1 million total players. Ubisoft publicly said they didn't expect to recoup the investment. Here's the lesson. 10 years in development is not a flex, it's a red flag. The longer it takes to ship, the less likely it is to be good. Number 4, Redfall, Arkane Austin, the studio that made Prey and Dishonored, now owned by Microsoft. May 2023. Redfall launches. Broken. Empty. A ghost of what Arkane is capable of. 1 year later, May 2024. Microsoft closes Arkane Austin. 96 people laid off. Phil Spencer, head of Xbox, publicly admitted they should have stepped in sooner. The money they lost? Not published. The talent they lost? Irreplaceable. This is what happens when you force a studio to make the opposite of what they're good at. Arkane makes immersive Sims. Microsoft told them to make a live service vampire shooter. You can't undo that kind of strategic mistake. Number 3, The Day Before. Fntastic. December 2023. Hype machine for years. Most wishlisted game on Steam. Marketed as an MMO survival shooter. Launches on December 7th. 4 days later, December 11th, the studio announces it's shutting down permanently. 48 hours after that, the game is pulled from Steam. Auto refunds for everyone. Brutal truth, The Day Before wasn't a game. It was a trailer dressed up as a game. Fntastic built an entire marketing campaign around footage that barely resembled the final product. The entire life of this product, from launch to funeral, was 4 days. Number 2, Suicide Squad, Kill the Justice League. Rocksteady, the studio behind the Batman Arkham series. One of the most beloved studios in gaming. 7 years of development. Warner Bros. Took a $200 million loss in the first quarter after launch, February 2024, releases to mixed reviews. Warner Bros. Games division reports a 41% year-over-year revenue decline, directly attributed to Suicide Squad. Rocksteady does multiple rounds of layoffs. Their QA team gets cut in half. The programming team, the artist team, a studio that used to define superhero gaming, is a shell. Here's the brutal truth. Arkham was a game. Suicide Squad was a financial product. The audience could tell the difference, and they voted with their wallets. Number 1, Concord, Sony, Firewalk Studios, August 23rd, 2024. This is the most catastrophic flop in the history of modern gaming. Let me back that up with numbers. Reported development cost, $200 million. Some sources say up to $400 million when you count the studio acquisition. Total copies sold, around 25,000 copies, for a product that cost hundreds of millions. Sony shut it down on September 6th, 14 days after launch, refunded every single purchase. 2 months later, they closed Firewalk Studios entirely. Dude, that's not a game that failed. That's a product that was dead before it shipped. Concord launched into a market that had already chosen Overwatch, Valorant, Apex, and nobody was waiting for a fifth option. Here's the lesson, and this applies to anything you're building. If you show your product to 10 strangers and 0 of them want it, don't ship it, kill it, before the market does it for you. So here's what all 10 of these have in common. Every single one of them, Anthem, Redfall, Concord, Suicide Squad, all of them made the same mistake. They chased a trend they weren't built for, instead of doubling down on what they did best. Passion over proficiency, trend chasing over lane picking, and the market punished every single one of them. Brutal truth, this will keep happening. Another $50 million live service flop is being made right now. You know it. I know it. Drop a comment. Which of these 10 hurts the most? Which one do you think could have been saved if the devs had just stayed in their lane? I'll see you in the next one.